today Silas and I upped the ante a little bit on our performance. We hung out mostly outside and in our lobby space this afternoon, and I focused on getting the same level of obedience in that space as we normally do up here in more of a vacuum or quiet environment. So initially, I worked with Silas on our loose leash etiquette outdoors. We're kind of at the same standard of performance out there where we can get 3, 4, 5 steps on a paved space. No, sir. Off. Yep. So we can get 3, 4, 5 steps in a row on a paved space with Silas maintaining a nice loose leash position. However, any social distraction, any new person entering his frame of sight, or any dog or wildlife that enters his line of sight causes him to immediately want to pull away. That's okay. He's still a baby. We're still figuring that out. Good news is he's much less barky now when he sees those kinds of people. He's very quick to check back in with me after those people or other distractions vanish, and he maintains that focus as we move away from the people. So good work on setting those standards at home, and with practice, he will learn to just maintain this nice loose leash spot at my left, no matter what else is going on, okay? Feel free to use your hand target as you're moving around your apartment with him. Yep, just as another way to rehearse this left side heel position. Yep, good boy. Just to build reward history and maintain that position at your left. And this hand target at your left side is a really, really nice visual cue to just have on hand. So if you're in public with him years from now, and you kind of feel him pulling, feel him tugging away, and maybe you're on the phone or trying to have a conversation with somebody, you know just by muscle memory that showing him this little palm is an instant reset for him. He's like, oh crap, I've wandered or I've veered off. I need to refocus and get where mom needs me to be. Right? Just hand target is so helpful. Yes, it is. Other thing we worked on in the lobby space was our sit and our down. And we ended on some really positive notes. Off. Sir, you are not that tall. Off. Yep. First positive note is he is now responding more readily to his sit cue on the first try. Up to this point, I can get engagement and I can get movement from him, but when it comes to the obedience and kind of the stationary positions, I do have to beg him a little bit to get there. But today we had a bit of a breakthrough, and now he is responding more readily to the sit cue. Of course, he's not going to do it on camera. Sit. Yep. And he's also getting more responsive to our down cue. Down. Yep. Good work there. If you have a rug or carpeted area at home, I would really encourage you to try and find a way to get him to roll his hips to one side or the other. Right now, once he's in that down, it's a real challenge for him to flop over onto one of those hips, and that is really where we want him to be when he's in a down position. And it can be hard for these gangly breeds. Doodles, poodles are another example. Whinies too, Weimaraners, have a really hard time figuring out that the rolled hip is even an option when they're younger. The way that you can try and lure them into this position is to take your reward for their initial down and turn it into one of their shoulders. But as you can see, it's not really doing the trick here, and I think it might have something to do with the fact that we're working mainly on hard surfaces. And that's difficult. It's kind of uncomfortable for their little knobby joints to move around and get comfortable. So if you've got any carpeted surfaces or a nice plush quilt maybe, or a rug that you can lay out to try and practice these more settled down positions, that could be a better way to introduce the full behavior to him so that he figures out he can rock that hip over and really just get comfortable in this down position. Until we see that rolled hip, it's going to be very difficult for him to maintain his down for any extended period. And if your goal is to be able to take him into work with you, and maybe take him into classes as he matures and gets older, he's going to need to be able to settle into that long-term sit. without your feet tucked under you, sir, without you ready to launch up off a launch pad of those back feet. Yes, I know. Yes. Another way that we practice his down, or, well, maybe not his down, but we practice what's called some spatial pressure scenarios today. I'm going to see if I can recreate it with one of these chairs. Awesome. Yeah, good boy. And in this exercise, I did use a lure, but this is a very important skill for dogs that are going to be in public to learn. And you can do this in a lot of different creative ways. I find the easiest way to introduce this spatial pressure exercise off. I know you will get to play with him later. Silas, off. Yep. So you're going to use a lure. I've got some treats in my hand right here. And I'm just going to pull him under my legs here. That's all. Just get him used to kind of hanging out under that space. Again, we're just building reward history here. I'm not giving this a cue or even waiting for him to offer this behavior because it's not comfortable. It's not the most comfortable place for him to be right now. He's got to kind of crouch and squeeze in. But we're just building some reward history for him moving into these areas of tight quarters. Because this is another thing that you're going to run into pretty often. Yep, good boy. With any service dog, but especially with a big, tall service dog. He's going to be asked to go where dogs don't normally fit or are not expected to go. And so he's going to need to get comfortable moving into some tight quarters. So this is just a good little confidence building exercise to help bring him into these tighter spaces. Yep, good boy. And that time I was actually able to get him to move in there even without a lure. But of course he backed out before I had time to grab a reward. So practice both with and without lures, getting him under your legs, in between chairs, or if you want to lean against a wall and then try to get him to go behind your feet or behind your legs, between your legs and the wall. That's another good way to practice this exercise. You can create tight spaces in your apartment too by using your dining table or any kind of dining chairs that you have, just to practice moving him through tight quarters. But working with you as the tight space is a better way to introduce it, because as a young dog, he's going to have a bit more fear of novel spaces that are not directly connected to you. As you can see right here, he's now more than comfortable to just squeeze under my feet and go after these little crumbs that I've dropped on the floor. So that's really the goal, is for him to start just offering this because he knows it now. He's comfortable doing it. We worked a little bit more on our handling. As you can see, he's a little more comfortable with me getting both hands on him now. He is also distracted, however, by the crumbs I just placed on the floor. So keep working on this. Yeah, now of course he's all paranoid about it. Keep working on this at home. If he's more comfortable with you touching him without the squirming and noodling and wiggling, feel free to advance through kind of that general standing restraint that I sent you in a video. Just practice one piece of that at a time. So practice getting a hand on his belly, and if he stays still, he gets a marker and a reward. And then you can try putting a hand gently around his neck or on his shoulders, and again, rewarding for stillness there. Okay. There are other restraint techniques. We will build up to those. The standing restraint is the least invasive option, and the first choice we always want to make for a dog is that standing restraint, because it's the most comfortable for them. If they get a little wiggly or a little nippy, though, that's when we have to start analyzing and seeing, do we need to try some other restraint methods, right? He did really well today. He's much more focused on working with his handler now, so you're doing a great job setting those standards for him at home and helping him understand that working with you and for you is the more rewarding option for him. Please let me know if you have any questions about these exercises. I think our goal in the coming week is going to be continuing on that down duration. I'm going to see if I can create a more plush area for him to practice laying down on. And then we're also going to keep working on our loose leash etiquette through different social scenarios, both indoors and outdoors. All right? Okay, now you can get your doggy friend. Boop. There you go.